Derek Armson here, and welcome to the Monday Musings number 3. Woohoo! So here we are, Monday Musings number 3, and I've survived Storm Ciara. That's more than I can say for my garden fence, which is now splattered all over the garden. So I'm going to have to go and buy a new fence this week, so that's not something I'm looking forward to. And also, we did have one casualty in the house. My little Dalek rollerkin. Now, older amongst you will remember rollerkins from the shops, but there was a big gust of wind, and just above the desk here, there's one of these vent things in the wall, and it flipped open and just wiped out the whole of the windowsill. And my little Dalek rollerkin was on it, and if you look closely, you can see he's lost his eye, which is a bit sad. But interesting. Do you remember rollerkins? If you do, they were a really big thing in the 60s. They made a bit of a comeback in the 80s over here. And I've got this one here. For those of you who are football or soccer fans, this is a World Cup Willy rollerkin. This is actually worth quite a few bob apparently. I was looking on eBay, and some of these are going for about 40 or 50 quid. So my little World Cup Willy rollerkin from the 1966 football/soccer World Cup, which was held here in England, and England won it 4-2 in the final. So yeah, so that's what's been going on in the house with Storm Ciara. So what's been happening in the business? Well, I think I said I was doing one funnel away challenge. Last week was really bloody tough. There's a lot of information to process, a lot to take in, but the training is absolutely outstanding. Last week we went through offers, product building, funnel structures, value ladder type things. And the big takeaway I got from last week was, a big question is why use a funnel in your online marketing? And the biggest takeaway I got from this was about the average cart value. And I've been actually working with a client of mine on this during the last week, and I'm going to do a case study on this. But they have a dog safety gate, and all they have is an e-commerce website on Shopify, and they're just driving people to the e-commerce site, and so they've got no funnel or anything like that. The dog gate thing sells for, I think it's £45. So their total cart value can only ever be £45. And Russell tells a story about this, and Jim Edwards also tells a really good story. In fact, I'll tell the Jim Edwards one, because his first ever book he was selling for something like $27 online, and he just sold it online for however many years it was. I think it was about 10 or 11 years, and he was selling 10,000 copies of this book a year. And he didn't have, it was just like, that was it, the book, sales page the book, sell the book, and that was it. Anyway, after 11 years of selling this, he met Russell Brunson, and Russell made him put a one-time offer on there. And he put this one-time offer on there for a $47 upsell, and he made $89,000. And broke down crying. You think, well, you made $89,000, why would you break down crying? And the point he was making was that he'd had this sales page up for 11 years without a one-time offer. And if he'd had that one-time offer on from the start, he'd have made an extra $1,034,000. So basically, that's the power of using upsells. So you have your squeeze page where you give away something for free. Then you go to sales page for whatever. Put a bump on it. So if you're selling at $47, put a $27 bump on it. Have a one-time offer of a different version, differently formatted version, maybe video series of your product for $197 or something like that. And what you're doing is your average cart value, or the potential average cart value, is going up. So what this means, in essence, is that you can outstrip the competition. So if your competition, like in the dog safety gate thing, if everyone's just selling dog safety gates, everyone could afford to pay the same amount in advertising. But if you have a funnel in place, A, you can collect email addresses, B, you have a much better average cart value, and C, it means you can totally outspend your competition on advertising to get people into your funnel. It's all such logical stuff. So that's what I was learning last week on the One Funnel Away challenge, and you know, if you do aspire to put an online business together, it really is excellent training, and it's very matter of fact, one step at a time. They've got this guy called Steve Larson, who used to be one of their major funnel builders. He's a bit sort of in your face, yeah, positive mental attitude, boom, and all this sort of stuff. But he is a lot of fun, and he does have some absolute gems of knowledge. And also last week, I don't know, I'll put a link to it underneath it, but the my box of goodies that I paid the extra $29 for came through. So you get this book, which is sort of by Russell, but it's basically 30 of his, funny enough, it's Steve Larson, look, 30 of his 2 Comma Club award winners. So they're people who've done 1 million from one funnel, have all put in place in this book a strategy for what they would do if they had to start up again from losing everything. I was meant to get all this stuff ready for you. But you also get, that's the One Funnel Away Challenge workbook with all the day's different challenges in it. I mean, that in itself is worth, the $100 that you pay, and you also get a little MP3 player, so you can listen to Russell Brunson everywhere you go. Actually, the training is excellent. I've said that before. So that's a little bit about One Funnel Away from last week. This week we're moving on to telling stories and putting your story in place. And it's interesting because today I've been learning why tell stories. And the reason you tell stories is because the stories create emotion in people, and you can't sell to people without an emotional connection. And that emotion that you give by telling your stories creates a connection with your potential customers. And again, Jim Edwards, I sort of almost dismissed Jim Edwards before as someone worth listening to, but he tells this amazing story. There's a link to one of the presentations he did at Funnel Hacking Live a couple of years, but I think it was in 2019, so last year. And he talks about what's your big why? Why are you doing a business? Why are you wanting to make an online business? And the story he told was that in 2015, I think it was, his son was in the army and was going off to fight in Iraq, and they were hopelessly under-equipped. And Jim Edwards went to see his platoon leader or commander or whatever, and he was showing him all the stuff that they needed, and there was lights and there was armour and all that sort of thing. So Jim Edwards said, "Look, don't worry, guys. For your company, I've got it covered." And he bought all the stuff, and the army couldn't believe that he was doing this. Now, what his son was doing was actually going out finding IUDs. And you know, one day their Humvee got blown up, and his son got his leg blown off. So you know, charged with emotion when he's telling the story. And the ambulance, you know, he put a tourniquet on. The ambulance came along. They got him in the ambulance, and they couldn't see what was going on. But they had these headlights. Put the light on, realised that the tourniquet was on wrong, put it on right, otherwise his son would have bled out. So basically the stuff that Jim Edwards bought saved his own son's life. Now, you know, that is a hugely powerful story. And I just like, you know, it made me think about my why. Why do I want to do this online business? What is my why? I mean, obviously my why is Jan, my partner, and my 3 amazing kids who I love to bits, and I want to give them a really good start in life. And in the UK, it's really, really difficult these days. I mean, my kids have all got good jobs. I'm desperately trying to get them into this online business stuff, but they seem resistant. But that's another story for another day. But when I was young, when I was their age in the early 20s, you could get on the housing ladder. It was easy. My wife and I at the time, 3 times joint salary, we got a mortgage. Nowadays, even on, like, you know, my eldest son works for British Airways. He's a cabin manager. He's done really, really well. But it would be like 15, 16 times his salary to get a mortgage, and it's not feasible. So my why is I want to give the kids the leg up that they deserve. So that's my big why, and why I want to do this, and why I want to be able to, you know, to fulfill my dreams, which are not necessarily so much for me. Yeah, I want to live the laptop lifestyle, and you know I have the place in Spain and I love going there. But what I'm doing it for is, that's my big why, is my kids and my partner. So, telling stories is the way that you gain that emotion in your potential customers, and they get to like you, know, like and respect you, and that's how you do it, by telling stories in your sales letter and your sales materials. So talking of that, the course now, the helicopter view, is all done. Module 1 is done, and I've just got to put it into the right format. I've got a rough draft of my story written, which is good, and I'm going to get myself funnel scripts today, because again, Jim Edwards has been pushing funnel scripts all the way through the One Funnel Away Challenge, and not only can you write your sales letters, your video sales letters in there, but you can also do your SOAP and your Seinfeld email series. I'll do a thing on that in the not too distant future. Do a video on that in the not too distant future. From that perspective, things are going well. My Microsoft ads are still stopped. I've been appealing and talking to their support all through the course of this week. So no commissions on the direct ads this week, unfortunately. But Bing have really tightened up on their procedures and what they are and are not allowing. Direct linking used to be perfectly okay on Bing. Nowadays they're not so happy about it, and one of the issues I had with them was that they were not happy that the display URL wasn't actually going to the display URL itself. Excuse me. How I get through that, I'm not quite sure yet. The only other thing to talk about is I bought some new SEO infrastructure a couple of months back. That has proven really powerful on the SEO front in my business, and it also gives me the ability to take on some more clients. So I'm looking for SEO clients at the moment. If you're interested in having some search engine optimization work done, give me a shout, hit me up. And if you refer me to a client that I successfully take on board, I will give you 20% commission on the intro and the monthly recurring. So there you go. That's me for this week. I'm ball deep in the one Funnel Away Challenge again. I do have quite a bit of SEO work to catch up on this week, so that will probably be my lot for this week, apart from trying to push the course forward where I can. One other thing, a couple of the modules I need some stuff done whereby this would suit someone who's done online help, manuals, that sort of thing. I want a couple of that sort of things done. I want basically module overview wireframes. So involving distilling information out of a number of sources, and also building some graphics to illustrate certain points. That's it. I will be back with more Monday Musings next week. I hope you found this useful. There's some real nuggets of info in there. All the best. I'll see you later. And while you're here, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Bye.